lanes. So what SEM9 need to do is make sure that they can keep a no name and keep their bottom side alive throughout all of this, and allow them to hit level 6 on Viego and both Ari. I feel like they don't have much of an early say into the game, so that's what we're going to have to pay attention to in the first 5 minutes.
Well, welcome back to Summoners Rift, folks. Our penultimate game of the night. SEM9 searching for their first win of the PCS for the year. As Clement told me off break, he's like, SEM9 is still winless, right? I'm like, wait, they didn't pick up a single game in spring, and lo and behold, they did not. Clement, similar story with V5 in 2020 summer.
Now look where they are.
Yeah, now they look like a first place team. This is how it begins. This is how SEM9 go to Worlds.
Here we go. This is where the journey begins. You don't want to miss SEM9's first win, okay? You have to tune in. You have to stay here the whole way.
Hell yeah. Well, at the very least, look, their coach is on the Rift. So let's just say, in terms of shot calling, maybe they shouldn't have as many issues as they normally do, considering that Axon is playing the support role this game and was actually their head coach last split, Clement.
Yeah, this is really interesting. He was also the head coach of, I believe, Berjaya Dragons earlier on, so has a lot of experience in the competitive scene. And I'm always very interested with coaches going into the support position, because supports do have more time to shot call. That's just kind of been a fact of League of Legends for a very long time, and we've seen it work out. Remember DFM when their coach just went down as like, our support can't play, sub myself in? And it was actually pretty successful.
True. Well, again, another thing that I guess we're going to start with the legend for today for SEM9. For Frank Esports on the other side, Clement, I did kind of set you up for the top side, but we once again have a strong bottom lane. However, going up against the Brom, give me your 2 cents here on if the lane's neutralized or not.
I think this is actually a very hard lane to play, coming in from the side of SEM9. A lot more damage, a lot more kill threat, and I just see SEM9 just kind of playing very passively on this bottom lane. This is more of a skirmish-oriented bot lane, where you're not very strong in lane, but you're great at following up fights that other people have started. So that's what you want the Braum for. It's very easy to tag Winter's Bite and get the Concussion Blast down with the Ezreal, because Mystic Shot does proc that as well. So it's just easy to chase up and follow up damage when Ari and Viego have already started a fight.
Okay, well, you can already see the pushing down the bottom lane. The trade on Axon as well before. Quite nice from Eminem. We talked about Frank Esports being a bot-centric team, and the strength of Eminem last split. Their superstar with the cool tattoos and the cool hair, Clement. He, kind of lived up to his name as well. Axon, while we're off screen, just took a massive burst trade. Keris didn't even use ult. Ignite. So that already is kind of just proving the point through and through. As even Hollows here, dive stopped across other regions. LPL might have pulled it up, but I didn't expect this, Clement.
Yeah, the most dangerous dive that the LPL has ever invented, the 3-3 versus 2-2 dive, it's basically gone extinct. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it's so hard to pull off because everyone has extra HP, and I think they might still go for it here.
I mean, Axon stuck around for way too long. Wind becomes lightning. The coach about to meet his end, and he gets a face full of Rift players. Frank Esports with first blood, and it's over to Eminem. This lane is doomed, Clement.
Yeah, like I said, this is a very difficult matchup to play. I almost feel like Braum has anti-synergy versus Renata Glass. When you try to use, stand behind me and you jump on a target, Renata Glass can just handshake you and throw you on your AD carry. Like, you're literally making her job easier. So, I expected this to be hard. And now all I'm wondering is, if you're the coach and you're playing support, how do you do VOD reviews? It feels like, it's like, well, I was there with you, so not much to say. Move on.
It's not my fault. I'm just here to review. We're not going to talk about my play. We've focused on the rest of the team. But it's a rough start, isn't it? Either way, Clement, humor aside, things get very serious for Cher Dudu and Axon debuting here today, because the SEM9 bottom lane pushed against turret. You can already see teleport was taken by Cher, and he's going to be able to get back to lane, but they've already lost a plate. They're 15 CS down. Berserker Greaves this early here on a Callista always spells trouble.
Yeah, that lane looks absolutely terrifying to play against, and all the more pressure being put on Lazar and Narashi to deliver. They need to find some skirmishes. So a couple points that we probably should keep our eyes on are, I think, that Scuttle that's just coming up. You know, both of these players are very close to 6. I do imagine Pretender would be closer in this situation.
Right.
And the other point that we could see a fight break out is just really that Shidudu and Oxen are not in a good position.
Timing here, actually missed time by White SKM, but Grand Challenge comes through and Arashi backs away, pulls that ulti out, and doesn't have to burn a summoner, so in the end, works out fine here for Frank Esports top lane, but as Jungle's spotted top, SEM9's bottom lane pushed so heavily out, Clement. Loyalty program gets damage down. It's Ren City coming in. You said that anti-synergy, Clement, right there in front of our faces. Stun comes through as Axon runs into Sheer, and as the Dragon starts, SEM9's bottom lane just get pummeled.
Yeah, a really nice job done by Frank Esports. They pulled the lane, and they just held that cannon there, made sure that it was difficult to farm from SEM9, and you know, if SEM9 have to walk out that far, there's not really much they can do. They're losing the trade 100% in that situation. And it looks like Frank Esports, with that bottom lane favorable trade and that freeze to start things off, they're going to take the Scuttle and they're going to take the Dragon. So, unfortunately for SEM9, it almost feels like the last game where the strategy now shifts to, can we get to 35 and No Name becomes the Kale savior?
Yeah. And I guess because, like, we know this team is winless, and we know that SEM9 are the bottom team in the PCS, like, undoubtedly, right? They haven't made many roster changes. They've got their coach in as support for today, especially. Like, SEM9 still chasing their first win, let alone the chance of hoping to get to playoffs this split. I have to use so many filler words, Clement, like, hopefully, maybe, probably not, but could make the playoffs if they probably didn't play like they did in spring.
I'll be honest, if we were just on a continuation path from spring, I actually think SEM9 would have a good chance. But unfortunately for them, Hurricane Gaming's not there anymore. It's like we have not changed our playoff format.
Impunity, sorry, got better.
Impunity got much better. So the people that they're trying to chase now, I think are kind of different. Like if I'm looking down at the roster, I think they're chasing guys like MFT and maybe Beyond King. So those two teams are, I think the PCS is leveled up, just to put it mildly, and SEM9 have to follow suit.
I feel like it does every split. Maybe SEM9 can level up with this player. Arashi has his ulti available, but he flashes away. Met with Hollow here, the bailout used for the attack speed, and look at this, Lazar's getting chased now, as Action has to come in just in the nick of time. Meanwhile, Grand Challenge used on the top side successfully, but a Divine Judgment from No Name keeps him alive. Frank Esports 2-0 at 1.5k gold lead. Clement, this is clinical play, and it's only getting better as time goes on.
Yeah, that was slightly close, I would say, but unfortunately, Holo is able to just flash out of the crowd control coming in from Braum, keeps himself alive, and then the cavalry is there to clean things up. You're not getting away from the Lissandra. And honestly, like I feel like Holo could just straight drop this. I feel like they're probably going to go for bot lane and then do a swap. In a 2v1 situation, Callista can be very weak against Renata Glass plus Callista. So that's probably just the play there. Drop Herald bot lane, transition the duo into the top side.
Well, as we continue watching bot for the time being, though, before we see any of those transitions, Clement 30 CS has to be noted. I'll keep tracking for you. A Pretender with 20 in the mid lane. Top is getting to a point where YSKM is bullying out No Name. He's ranged for now, but YSKM threatened him pretty well. As Arashi's coming back to the top side, but look at where Hollow is. On Lazar, who doesn't have flash, who doesn't have ulti, Glacial Path taken, rooted in place. He's got cleanse, but ulti not available for Pretender, so he cannot lock him up any further. Hollow gets spotted out, and I guess he's going to take his business elsewhere.
Yeah, and this is the dive that we were talking about. Very dangerous. You can tell that Ashin right now is still doesn't have that level 6, and they have to venture out, drop a lot of these wards to prevent the Lissandra from coming in. The entire map is basically getting drawn towards the bottom side just to prevent the dive happening. So What this essentially means is that SEM9 is going to find it very difficult to get their main engine for the composition online. We've said this again, but the most important part is definitely Lazar's Ari and Arashi's Viego to find kills. If they can't get the 2v2, then it's going to get really difficult. SEM9 have to break this up before they can converge with the bot lane.
Well, how do you break it up? I mean, Clement the Herald's going to get placed down, and at this point I'm being a bit pessimistic. That's the Pretender in the middle of everyone. Axon getting a hit again. Look at that! That hostile takeover was huge from Carey's, previously known as K2 Clement, but he got more than 2 in that fight.
Oh, that was just absolutely disgusting to watch here. Karis is apparently he's a venture capitalist. Like he's he knows the way of business very, very well. Got 4-company merger at the same time. Amazing to watch right here. So the problem here is SEM9, they needed to stop the 2v2 before it could get and converge with their bot lane. Their bot lane is very far behind. They aren't able to do that. They tried to save their coach, which is, I think, is a valiant effort, but definitely not advisable. And Shedudu misses the target right there. That was a little bit sad to see. To be honest, I don't even think Karis was moving right there, but still couldn't hit the mark, and Frank Esports are running away with it.
As we said about 5 minutes ago, right? It's 11 minutes in now as Hollow appears mid once again. Eminem sitting there by himself. There's 2 people there from SEM9. They will not touch this Kalista with a Mortal Shield Bow with 30 CS over share. And as Dragon spawns once again, Frank Esports are also stacking this up. Clement, today, we've seen so many teams where, yeah, they're falling behind early, but at least they're getting Dragons, they're buying time. We can't say that this game. Dragons are being picked up, and early enough, where Frank Esports are heading towards the Soul at 23 minutes in the game if this continues.
Yeah, it almost feels like the patch never really changed. No, we're still getting the same pace of game right here. We're seeing the play where I mentioned that I think the best play for Frank is just nip the flower in the bud. You just go top lane, make sure that No Name gets no farm, zone him off XP with your duo. And what can SEM9 really do? Like, they can't follow because they're so far behind. They need to catch up on farm themselves. They can't double stack carries here. So it's going to be very difficult. Either SEM9 need to play into a 1v2, or they need to send No Name into a long lane in the bottom side. So not a lot of good options here. The only thing that could save them is just definitely some hero play coming from Arashi. We've seen it so many times before, but once again, that's who they call for.
I mean, Arashi, the only person keeping track with their laner at the moment. To be fair, No Name is doing well over YSKM, but, you know, we have seen Arashi playing towards the top side, hovering a little bit, threatening off the Fiora, because now No Name is ranged. It seems to be a bit of a threat, but we'll see what happens here as he's changed around to bot side. You can see that Arashi's moving down towards YSKM, but Eminem and Carey's have at least 40 seconds, Clement, with the top lane turret, and Eminem's doing so much damage at this stage, and no one's nearby.
Yeah, we could see SEM9 scrambling to get their lane allocations correct. We saw No Name actually head for bot lane initially, and then realize, wait a minute, this tower is going down way too fast. I need to go up top. I do like this answer from SEM9, pairing the support with No Name, so at least he can pick up farm and not get bullied 1v2. I think this is the correct lane allocation, but unfortunately they did waste a lot of time figuring out how to get it to go.
And it means that Frank Esports is going to have the time to respond. 4 members topside as Ward clears out, deciding whether to put them in trouble. You can already see, though, SEM9 moving share up. Arashi's shortly behind. But this will give a bit of space to YSKM in the bottom side. And you know, Herald's up in 30 seconds, too. So as they clear up topside, they push up Clement. They're going to reset, and it's a perfect window to do so.
Yeah, just a really clean play from Frank, you know, pulling people across the map. I think the most important part about that play is how much farm that YSKM was able to claw back. He was down 18 CS plus a call, and, you know, he's catching up relatively quickly right here. And you can see Ari is not going to step up and contest the Fiora in a long lane like this.
True. Why would you? He's close to his first item, but still YSKM is level 11 to the Grand Challenge. Very impactful at this point in the game, but I'm just finding things to talk about with him because nothing's happening while the rest just keep attacking SEM9's duo. And of course, I mean, Eminem, look, Cher walking up here. Gets the arcane shift away, of course he does. True Barrage only hits carries, but as Arashi positions himself to steal the Herald, remember that Eminem now has himself the component for the second item as a pick out here from carries. Will it matter?
Ooh.
Well, True Barrage already burnt down, but the poke's still good enough as Eminem's been charmed out, cleanses through, flashes as well. Lazar coming in strong, and SEM9, this is their first piece of control in the game.
Yeah, this is SEM9's chance to claw things back. I feel like Frank Esports and their bot lane actually played a little bit too cavalier, trying to just walk through that ramp. That's never advisable when SEM9 are sitting right on top of it. So they get hard punched here. There's a lot of HP missing. And I feel like SEM9 have to make a play here. This is probably their best chance to stop the snowball, and indeed they're coming in.
But they're going to be running into a hostile takeover. That's my concern here. Kerry's not getting the handshake, but at the very least, a loyalty program with the shielding it provides maybe helps with the respect SEM9 have now given. Herald goes down. They have the inside track in mid, but Clement, no damage to take it down. They move towards the bottom side, and yeah, there's no response here from SEM9. No big play. And as such, they sit down 4K behind when there's enough time for Frank Esports to reset, and we look towards the third Dragon, Clement.
Yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate right here. I feel like SEM9 were a little bit hesitant because they didn't know where YSKM was. And in fact, it was just backing. So Frank Esports managed to pull off the front. They actually pulled No Name away from his lane for a while, and they also get the Herald. So straight wins across the board from Frank Esports. They get out of a low HP situation.
Okay, Hollow's going in. Look at Pretender behind enemy lines. Everfrost down's good as well, but as he goes golden, Lazar's going to be coming in with the charm timing. He gets it. Kerry's coming up next as Eminem is still alive, but the hostile takeover is late as anything. The SEM9 managing to get their first kill of the game is a sight for sore eyes.
Yeah, that was a really weird from Pretender. I feel like the zone would have done.
And it turns back around. Axon with a good ulti, but Eminem once again still lives. Kerry's thrown into the team. Wants to sacrifice his life as Lazar just wants to reset. And so does Arashi. But if he jumps back in, Eminem still has the immortal shield bow. It looked good, and even on the other side of the map, No Name goes down. Clement. SEM9, just as you think they get back in, Frank Esports take it away again.
A 1-for-5 trade right there, and Frank Esports were actually playing in a 4v5 situation, so very well done on their part. Unfortunately for SEM9, they face check, took a ton of damage, and also weren't able to just clean out any of the kills. So the resets were missing right there. Arashi isn't able to get that extra HP back, and they lose across the board. That was very impressive from Frank Esports. They were down one member and were still able to get such a decisive win here. So we'll watch the 1v1 into the bot side right here. Oh, that is so critical here. YSKN is able to get the attack speed slow onto the Kale while also proccing one. Goes immediately in. Unfortunate for No Name. Oh, the proc actually resets on the left side here, so he doesn't have enough time to reposition towards the other side of the wall and just gets taken out. That was a bit unlucky. Oh, not a bit unlucky. It always resets like that, but very well played by YSKM.
Well, to be fair, Vitals is Vitals luck at the moment, Clement? I can't remember. They did change it, but I know it's based on some kind of positioning, right? Yeah.
It's always locked into two positions, and you can actually reset it by leaving the range and coming back again. It always resets. So that was actually a really nice play from YSKM. Like, he didn't go all in for the play. He knew that No Name was hugging the wall. He reset the Vital and then went back in for the kill.
Smart play, as you said. So with that solo kill, we're kind of back at the point where, okay, SEM9 had this Kale to lean on, but now the solo lane is YSKM for the taking. He's caught up in the goal that he was losing in the early game. The CS is now only 10 as the difference, and you have to look at the rest of the map burning. That Frank Esports have set up through this bottom lane, kicking things off, now with a Wit's End. Now also with the Gwinsu's Baby Knife, Clement. Almost 3 items strong. Eminem is on a tear in his return game back to PCS. And now with a 7K gold lead, Frank Esports are out for blood. And it looks like they want to push into the base as 20 minutes start approaching.
Yeah, just very standard build coming in from the Callista here. You get a lot more value from on-hit items just because you actually descale with AD. That's kind of the Callista passive here. On hit, definitely the way to go, and you get full value for the Rens later on when you get your Runon's Hurricane as well. So that's kind of been the build we've seen. Gwinsu's and the on-hit builds and then into the Lunats later on. So he's very strong. It gets a ton of sustain, and we've also seen Callistas just kind of build into one single tank item later on too, just to make sure that they can get the dream 256 Ren stacks down.
I think, I don't know, it was Carson recently, Clement, but it was Randuin's third, actually.
Yeah.
They were that far ahead. And as I say that, here's another Callista who's doing exactly the same thing, but Action clawed out once again. M&M, give him the kill, of course. You must. Frank Esports with number 10, Clement Chu, and now onto the Baron at 20 minutes just about.
Yeah, they're not giving No Name any chances to drag this game out. We saw Taco get able to hit level 18. I doubt he's going to get much beyond level 16 this game around, and I like this Pretender holding the fort, but
okay. Well,
goodbye.
Pretender, he died. He died, Clement. But M&M still by himself, Ren not stacking up, and Lazar lucky to survive. But you know, at this point, even though something bad happened, it returns as a good vibe for Frank again.
They're too far ahead. A little bit of a mistake there from Pretender. I thought he was going to be able to dodge that one. Like, he had the vision advantage, but Lazar, with some extraordinary sixth senses, is able to catch him out there. And it was close, but still, like, Callista at this point, you really have to look across the roster and just think who actually has anti-heal. And so far, only Ashing does. That's kind of on a long cooldown as well.
Yeah. Healing also reduced as well, Clement, so, you know, not as effective as it was before, or sorry, grievous wounds, I should say, if it comes into a relevant conversation. But I'm sure we're going to get a replay of the last play, but at the very least, like, this hurts. If anyone's a SEM9 fan, which at this point, after going through spring, I'm sure a very small minority, you know, you're kind of revisiting the issues that we saw last time where it's kind of hands diff, Clement. I think that's the, I guess, not majestic way of saying it, not the formal way of saying it, but like each SEM9 game always comes down to like, oh, you know, if there were better laners, if there were better, you know, individual players. I don't know if that's fair to say.
I feel like in this game, definitely, for sure. Like the bot lane, even though it's a very bad matchup, you definitely don't expect the lane to fold that quickly. And they lost some early trades to allow the tower to
like this. I mean, Axon, again, the problem, not doing too much here, is YSKM is joining in on this one. Glacial nothingness goes down. And after that tomb disappears, after that Fisher is gone, they re-engage. Lazar, the first target, M&M with a quick cleanse, and the hostile takeover. Perfect once more, two-man Emfrost from Pretender. But he makes up for his previous play, as No Name is in the middle, but this Kale ain't even 16 and isn't close to being relevant. Lazar lucky to survive for his fourth or fifth time in this game. And as we look at the scoreboard at 14-2, you guys know this one has been over for a while.
It's really hard to state otherwise. Frank Esports, they have way too much engage in this fight. I love the way they layered everything, you know. You see the Fiora going in, super far in, using her riposte to engage, but they're willing to do that because they have the hostile takeover right afterwards. So, you know, YSKM trusting in his support, knowing that he can bait the enemy team, and all the while, you have M&M just firing on the enemy squad. He has that cleanse up. We're going to watch this again. I really like how cavalier Frank Esports is willing to go in here. They know their toolkit very well. Ashing engage is down. YKSM, he's like, I'm just going to go in for this. I know my team can back me up. I'm going to use my W right off the bat, and it doesn't even matter because I have all that counter engage follow-up. Perfectly layered from Pretender. That is such a nice Everfrost, catching the two-man out, and the rest of it is just cleaning off the scraps.
Well, it's been like that for the past couple of fights. Damage numbers may come out, and, you know, if you took away the kills, if you took away the scoreboard, you'd think this could be a close game. But M&M still on this Callista, despite Pretender layering great CC, Hollow with some amazing engages. Hell, even YSKM having some pretty good angles too. It's all been about this now 4-item Callista. Clement, level 13, is only a level ahead of Shia Dudu, but in this game, has always been ahead of CS and has just been outclassing the very fresh bottom lane of SEM9.
Yeah, this is absolutely terrifying to watch this Ballista right here. So, Runan's Hurricane actually gives you a stack of Rend on every single target. So he's tripling up on those spears. It's going to be super easy to reset them, and it also gives you additional healing. So I don't see how he dies in any of these team fights here.
Well, neither do I. what do I say? Neither do I. It's a 10k gold lead, and SEM9 are kind of just waiting for it now as they push out midway, but here it comes the engage. Fate's call, a big knock-up, and once again, the hostile takeover. If it was anything as heroic as the world song, I'd be saying that SEM9 would have a chance of fighting back, but no, once again, obliterated. And at 25 minutes, Clement, finally, the base will be shattered through mid.
Yep, Frank Esports taking their time here, and I feel like this game, the best thing about it for Frank is I think they solved a lot of their engage issues. That was the biggest thing that we saw in their previous games, is that against Frank Esports, you could always draft for late game. Like, they never closed things out by 30 minutes. They were incredibly lethargic when it came to actually ending games. This looks kind of different. I like a lot of their vision baits. I feel like they've layered crowd control very well, and even against a team in a meta that has extra HP, they've been able to play cleanly and finish off targets. I feel like Frank is giving us a lot to look forward to.
Yeah, again, one of the teams, you know, last split in the top 6, right? DCG taking them down in playoffs, but still Frank Esports provided us with, I guess, a lot of exciting games. Like, they were the biggest upstarts, Clement, because people like Pretender really ran into the split nicely. Like M&M and K2 were a very good bottom lane, and in the sense that Frank knew who they were playing towards. I feel like a lot of, you know, sometimes a lot of these teams, right, like their win conditions, Clement, change from game to game, but also they don't have a clear identity of their strong players. I wouldn't say that about Frank, considering that they always try and play towards M&M, and that's their strongest member on paper and in game too.
Yeah, for sure here. I feel like Frank Esports, they just understand that you just play towards the bot lane, but
have Rend. Rend is out of smite range. Yeah, Rend is out of smite range. Arashi failed the flash, and now Action's gonna die. So once again, Kalista coming in handy as they secure the Baron, and now on the kills. Arashi wants to play peekaboo with YSKM, but Grand Challenge about to pop off, and everyone's going to benefit from it. Berserk once again is standing in place, will not benefit them at all. A double for the Fiora, Pretender to clean up the final one.
Oh, no name, here we go.
Now. Woo! Level 16, Clement. Pretender's going to int again. Well, let's see how they get out of this one. He flashes bail out, but he won't be able to get the reset in time. But now on top of No Name, the Divine Judgment comes through, but Frank want to end the game right here in 28 minutes. This one wasn't even close, and while SEM9 keep on with their loss streak at 19 games in a row this year, Frank Esports enter the PCS strong on their day one.
A great performance coming in from their new players.